I went to go see a sports therapist. He was trying to help me get back on track again. And he said, "You know what? You need a goal. You have to set a goal for yourself. What's the first thing that comes to mind?" And I don't know why I said it, but I said, "Well, I've always wanted to do an Ironman." He's like, "Then we're doing it."
Hi, everyone. I'm Ashley Hunter, founder and executive director of Fit Kids, a nonprofit that brings fun, high quality physical activity programs to kids who need them most. Welcome to another Fit Kids conversation. In this series, we interview coaches, athletes, doctors, and leaders in the health, fitness, and sports worlds who are passionate about kids' health and physical activity and who bring valuable insight to share with us. At Fit Kids, we believe that being active is a critical part of every child's healthy development, and that when people are active through sports and other forms of physical activity, they learn how to face challenges, bounce back from setbacks, and keep going when things get hard. The habits and mindset we build through physical activity become powerful tools for resilience in every part of life. The theme of today's talk is resilience, so I'm especially excited to introduce you all to my friend Doug Appleton, who has been many things throughout his life, including a lawyer, founder of an amazing youth lacrosse program called Firehawks that my kids have been fortunate to participate in, and most recently, an Ironman finisher after some incredible health challenges that you're going to hear more about. This is truly one of the most remarkable stories of resilience I've ever encountered, and I'm so excited for Doug to share his journey with you today. Doug, welcome. I can't wait for people to hear what you have to share with us because it's deeply inspirational and a powerful reminder for all of us about what's possible when you don't give up.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thank you. It's so fun to have you. And this is especially fun because we are friends and we do go way back to my kids participating in Firehawks and to one of your kids volunteering with Fit Kids. So we've known each other for a long time. To start, for people who don't know you like I do, can you just share a little bit about your background, please?
Originally from the East Coast. I grew up in Maryland, and I started sports really young. I started when I was 5 or 6 years old wrestling. My grandfather got me into it. He was a Olympic silver medalist, 1928, and then a longtime wrestling coach at West Point. So wrestling was sort of in the genes, and I don't know if I even had a choice. I don't know if I knew what wrestling was. I remember this is kind of funny. On the first day of wrestling, here I am, a 5-year-old with all these kids all the way through high school. The coach asked if we had any questions, and I asked if we could tickle. I remember, I remember that, like, no, you can't tickle. It's wrestling, so
It should be fun, though. Sports
it
should be
should be
fun. So
fun.
that was a good question.
I wrestled for a long time through high school, and but I gave it up eventually for lacrosse. That was my true passion from also a very young age. In Maryland, you're kind of born with a stick in your crib, and I started probably at 10, which is late by our standards, even in California. But that's when it started, and I just went all in on lacrosse. I was very successful in high school and in state championships in college, won Ivy League championship at Brown. Actually still play. I've been playing for 50 years, believe it or not. So do the math on how old I am. But uh, I still play. I play at a like the grandmaster level. I played pro for a while, and it became more than just a sport for me. It was really, well, you've seen it was a passion. I was so wanted to just spread the love of what I learned as a young player through some fantastic coaches and really supportive parents. And I wanted to create something in California that would give my kids and their friends and other kids in the area something comparable to what I grew up with. That's when I started the Firehawks, and this will actually be the 20th year for the Firehawks.
It's
So
an amazing program.
thank you.
I've had multiple kids be part of it, and they've loved every minute. And frankly, when they grew out of it, it was sad for me because it was a great group of parents, and lacrosse is an amazing sport.
It is, and as many championships that I've won over the years, not just as a player, but as a coach, really the things that probably taught me the most and what I've really learned from that the most had nothing to do with winning. I mean, how you bounce back from a really heartbreaking loss or a ending injury. Um, it's really critical. And it's something I probably learned more from wrestling than lacrosse because you get knocked down, you get back up on your feet again. It's all about getting up onto your feet. And I did carry that through lacrosse, and not just through lacrosse, but really through life.
So resilience is one of those things you learn from sports. Just as you said, you get knocked down, your team loses, you lose, you get injured. you get back up, and sports does teach you to get back up. And last summer, I think it was last summer when we connected and you told me the story of getting ready for Ironman and how you got back up after many injuries, was incredible. And that's what I'm so excited for people to hear. Give us a sense of when did some of these injuries happen, and can you just sort of walk us through all of the health challenges that you've had?
Probably started in actually in high school with my first blown knee. Right as I was getting ready to go off to college, I actually went to my recruiting trip with my leg in a brace, and I'm thinking, this is not how you want to present yourself to your future coach. But yeah, it started. I had a lot of knee injuries. I think I had nine altogether, five ACL reconstructions, all in the same leg, and then layered on top of that. Um, Shoulder injuries, four shoulder surgeries, a broken neck in a lacrosse game,
Wow.
and yeah, I think I added up maybe 15 surgeries over the years. I went through a period of time where it's literally every 6 months something would happen, and including happening during games, and I would just keep playing, and for some reason I didn't really mind that. I know it sounds a little weird, but um, it gave me it made me feel alive in a weird way to have these kind of injuries, but then being able to bounce back from it. I think I did a lot of really stupid things and came back too soon. I didn't listen to my doctors. I didn't listen to my coaches. Things that probably never would happen today, where people are so focused on health instead of just, getting your player back on the field again. But it finally culminated in, I see it was 5 years ago now. I had both of my knees replaced at the same time. And I mean, it hurt just to take the trash cans to the end of the street. And then on top of that, I found out actually through some of the surgeries that I had when they were doing testing that I only have one kidney. I have a rare form of a blood cancer that I have to take chemotherapy drugs for, and it was discouraging. I'll be honest. I mean, just it's like, what else is going to happen? And I thought I was done. I was done with all injuries. I was now focused on my body and my mental and physical health, emotional health. I was thinking about potentially retiring. I was working in a job that was extremely stressful, and I was doing all the things wrong. Wasn't sleeping well, wasn't eating well, I wasn't working out, all the things I came to Tahoe to do. And getting ready for this lacrosse tournament in Hawaii, I knew something had to change. I just wasn't feeling well. So I decided to have a major life change and quit my job. And I went into the founder, who's also a Firehawk dad, a good friend of mine. And I had an honest conversation with him and just said, I feel like if I'm going to stay here, I'm going to have a heart attack. And I needed to make this change for my health. And he was awesome about it. And I quit. I went to visit my sister and her husband in North Carolina to take a little break, and I had a heart attack 10 days later. And I'm just so fortunate how it happened because it was a cardiac arrest. It was a blocked widowmaker artery. Not many people survive that unless there's somebody right there ready to start CPR and get you through it. I collapsed at the feet of my sister and her husband, both medical doctors. They happened to have an AED in the house. They started CPR on me and shocking me within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
Uh, and they shocked me twice. The paramedics came, shocked me 12 more times. I was without a pulse for 42 minutes, and they don't go longer than 40 minutes. They started packing up and they just said, "Sorry, he's gone." And my sister was crying. She left the room. My brother-in-law said, "No, don't stop. You don't know Doug. You got to keep going. He's a fighter. You keep going." I must have heard him somewhere
Yeah.
in subconscious,
Amazing.
and my heart started back up again, and I woke up in intensive care with wires sticking out of me. And yeah, and that was just 3 years ago. Um, that was quite an experience, and just a realization that if it happened anyplace else,
Yeah.
especially where I was living in Tahoe with my dog, I mean, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, and
So
it seems like maybe you almost knew it was coming because you had the sense to quit your job and knew you needed to make a lifestyle change and just knew that you weren't taking care of yourself in the way you knew you should. But that's what happens sometimes. Life gets in the way of you doing the things you know you need to. And I think it's incredible that you put a stop to all of that.
it could have been stress induced. It could have been a 20-year buildup. I mean, they call it the silent killer for a reason. I had no idea. After it happened, though, that's where things got really interesting for me because despite blown out knees and knee replacement surgery and the blood cancer and all this other stuff that I had been diagnosed with. And it took me a full year to recover, like, to of not just physical training. And, I went to cardiac rehab. I'm walking on a treadmill next to people 25 years older than me. I have to say I went through a little bit of a depression for a while
That's
and
understandable.
wondering what I was gonna do. So I went to go see a sports therapist who actually lives in my neighborhood, done a bunch of work with pro athletes. And I was telling him my story, and he was trying to help me get back on track again. And he said, "You know what? You need a goal. You have to set a goal for yourself. Like something that, what's the first thing that comes to mind?" And I don't know why I said it, but I said, "Well, I've always wanted to do an Ironman." And he's like, "Then we're doing it." So
So from waking up in the ICU, you'd been declared dead. Your sister and brother-in-law fortunately were the people who were right there with you when this terrible thing happened. But from that moment when you woke up and you were a little foggy and you had the wires, you said, felt a little depressed. How long was it until you were saying, I'm going to do an Ironman? That's my next goal.
it was probably 18 months. So it was a solid year of just I don't even remember that year. I was trying to start to get back into it. I was on heavy medications that were really bothering me, beta blockers. I couldn't exert myself too much,
Yeah.
blood thinners and everything that you have to be on. But after I was able to sort of wean myself off of some of those heavier drugs, I was starting to feel a little bit more like myself.
Yep.
Uh, I was able to do more than just walk on a treadmill.
It's incredible because a lot of people, I think, at that point give up. If they get to the place where they're able to walk on the treadmill, as you said you were doing, that's a lot. That's a big accomplishment from all of the things that you had to go through. So I find it incredible, and I have to believe there were some lessons from all of your years playing
Oh, yeah.
sports that helped you in 18 months go from lying in the ICU to declaring that you're going to compete in an Ironman.
In addition to the sports therapist, I got a coach, and having a coach who knew way more about this than I did, and someone who I trusted and who I was accountable to, and I was also
Yeah,
accountable to my team. Even though it's an individual sport, I had family and friends and training partners and this coach who was helping me. And that really helped me just get on track, analyze my workouts, added discipline and accountability to everything.
yeah,
And that takes me straight back to, when I was a young athlete, listening to a coach and teaching me something I didn't know, and how to be successful, because you have to do it in 17 hours. Uh,
yeah. Wow.
it's, 2.4 mile swim, 112-mile bike, and then a marathon. And I hadn't done any of those. Well, I've been biking, but with my e-mountain bike. So huge. I never could have done this without a coach, and probably without having the experience that I've had in my past, either as a team player for my
Yeah.
own team or as a coach.
You participating in sports taught you a lot of the lessons you needed to get through this, and you're touching on another really important part of kids playing sports, that is the role of a coach in their lives. And having that positive adult coach help you through things, challenges, is I think it can't be overestimated how important that is. So tell me a little bit about some of your favorite coaches, and from youth to then, I'm gonna guess that the one who helped you get ready for Ironman is gonna go on the a favorites list.
Well, actually, my wrestling coach and my lacrosse coach, but lacrosse coach in particular, Gil Balestri, he's passed by now, but I became very good friends with his sons and then his grandchildren too. He would always pick out the good things, and I became really good at those little things that he would pick out. Like, you got a great ground ball today.
Yeah.
That would make me feel good. It's like became the game within the game in a way. Like, I wanted to get those ground balls because the coach said I did a good job at ground balls. Like, I
Yeah.
wasn't the guy who was going to score. I was the one who's going to get the ball off the ground and give it to someone who would then give it to someone to score. And I learned that very young, that that is how you progress. It's not about scoring the winning goal in overtime. It's
Yeah.
being part of a bigger machine.
So the coach that you worked with in your adult life to get ready for Ironman, did some of those same feelings come back when you were working with him as did this youth coach Gil?
It was slightly different because I'm older than he is. He's a
Okay.
professional triathlete, but he knows so much.
Yeah.
and he knew exactly he would look at my, whatever my training schedule that he would set for me, and then he would analyze it and adjust it, and, he knew what I needed to do, and I think the trust that I had in him is the same as I had in Gil. Like, when I first started training, I couldn't even do 1 lap in the pool. I'd do 1 lap and I would cling to the wall, gasping for air just because of, I just couldn't get enough blood moving through my heart. He was the one who was there encouraging me that I'm going to get you to the finish line. You just have to trust me and we'll get there. Don't worry that you're only swimming 100 yards today. We'll get you to 4,200 yards.
Were there moments throughout this training where you felt like it's too much? I can't do it. This goal is never going to happen for me.
I was worried about injuries also because things, I'm 61 years old and I've got all these other things going on. It's like there's things happen and I had a bad bike wipe out that I thought I'd broken my femur as at this bike, and I was thinking, how this has set me back 2 or 3 more weeks, and the
Mhm.
time is precious. Like, I was looking at that date, and it was getting closer and closer. I just wasn't feeling like I was getting there. But, pain became information for me. It became another tool, if you will, for how to progress.
Yeah.
And it taught me what my limit was. And then when I hit that limit and found that, you can go a little bit further. That is something I learned from youth sports. You can always go farther than you think you can.
Yeah. What
So,
was the hardest part of the race?
I knew if I could get through the swim, I would be okay on the bike. And then the run was just who knows what. The swim, I just was terrified of the swim. I'd never really gone that far and in open water. I've done it
Yeah.
in the pool, but it's different. You hold onto the wall, you can catch your breath. Then it stormed, and then there was like 25-mile-an-hour headwinds and rain, and it was like in Forrest Gump, and he's like, "Is that
Yeah.
all you got for me? Come on, give me your best shot."
Yeah.
Kind of felt like that. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna get through this no matter what you throw at me.
I think at that point, overcoming everything you did, the weather was nothing. It was just one more little challenge, but you showed you had the adversity to get through anything by that point.
Once I got out of the water and I actually did way better than I thought I was gonna do in the swim, I knew I had a shot at this. I knew I could get through the bike, it's just 6 hours on a bike is long.
That's a
And
long
getting
time.
off the bike and starting to run, that's where things really people start to fall apart on the run. I mean, it's a marathon you're running, starting after doing everything else. I had a strategy of this is my coach again, he helped me with strategy, is walk through every aid station and break your race down into I think there was like 20 aid stations along the way. It's like, just get to the next aid station or just get to the next corner.
Yeah.
Don't think about, oh my God, I got 15 more miles to do at my pace. It's going to take me, 3 more hours or whatever the math is. Try not to play those games with myself. And it
Yeah.
was a series of small things back to like get another ground ball,
Yeah.
every 100 yards was another ground ball for me to get. I have to say probably the most proud moment of the entire race was the last 4 miles because I started, psychologically, I'm like, I'm getting close, I can feel it, and then I started to do negative splits, so my time was getting
Yeah.
fast, and it was all because and that was just pure adrenaline at that point. It was
Yeah.
dark. You start in the dark, you finish in the dark. And then I realized, I'm gonna do better than just finishing this race in 17 hours. Realized I was gonna do a lot better. And as, things progressed, I was like, I'm gonna break 15 hours. I can do it. And I was like, I think I can break 14 hours.
Yeah.
And I ended up breaking 13 hours and placing in the top 15 of my age group. So
Amazing.
yeah,
I love
so
that you set the goal and then the goal just it kept getting a little bit more and more challenging as you got stronger and faster and more ready. That's awesome.
yeah, and the confidence comes, I think,
Yeah.
again, sports, confidence builder. I didn't have a coach that yelled at me. That's one of the things that drives me crazy is some of the coaches who, we've all seen them or the parents even who don't embrace the sports for what they really are there for, which is preparation for life really and getting
Yeah.
along with others. And it's not about you're not failing when you step out onto the and that was another thing. People told me like just showing up at this race at the start line, you have already won.
Yeah. And then place top 15, did you say, in your age group?
Yeah, top 15. That was
That's amazing. What lessons do you think were the most critical for you to play competitive sports into adulthood and then get through all of these health challenges?
I mean, certainly knowing that I have gone through injuries before and have come out of it, I didn't give up. It kinda goes back to the whole stand-up thing, and actually, that's something that my grandfather taught me from, a very young age, and I adopted it as my kind of my personal mantra. I even have it tattooed on my foot, on the leg that I had the 9 surgeries on. Like, you get knocked down, you stand back up again, but it really was way more than just physical. It was you be a stand-up person,
Yeah.
stand up for something you believe in, fight for a cause that you believe in, and that was way more than my voice in my head. These are like Gil Balestre telling me you can
Yeah.
do it, my coach, and yeah, 100%.
Knowing how important sports has been in your life, what do you have to say about the importance of sports for all kids, even those who aren't going to do an Ironman and compete in competitive lacrosse the way you have? Tell me what you think about the importance of sports just for all kids.
I love how you started off with fun, and the Firehawks, we have this expression, it was, fire. It used to stand for focus, intensity, respect, and effort. Now they changed it to fun as the
Mhm.
first one. Yes, we want you to focus on the field
Yeah.
but it was more about fun and inclusiveness is now the I, and then respect and effort is fire. And I think the fact that you can have fun and you're meeting people and you're have a common goal of just being out there, showing up for other people is a huge part of it. Because as you move on in life, I mean, you got to do that every day in your job. And if you think of a job as just another team, you've got teammates, you've got a coach probably, maybe it's the CEO or somebody else.
Yep.
But it mirrors in later life from this. It's just, and ultimately, you know, the R in Firehawks, respect. It's respect for yourself as a person,
Yep.
respect for your teammates, respect for your coach, respect for the opponents. There's this really cool thing that we did, with the Firehawks. I know they do this everywhere, but, someone taught me this at a very young age that the handshake in lacrosse that you do, just like in other sports where you line up and you shake each other's hand, um, they supposedly, because lacrosse is like the oldest team sport in North America, it came out of the sport of lacrosse. And I'm gonna
Yeah.
believe that whether it's true or not. And what you're really doing is you're thanking the opponent, not just a good game. No, you're thanking the opponent for showing up and giving you all his or her all,
I love
because
that.
if they didn't do that, you wouldn't have an opportunity to give your all back.
I love that. I think that's amazing, and I think we need a little more of that in our world
Mhm,
today. So,
mhm.
I like the R there in Firehawks, and, I like the handshake and what that means. For parents and coaches out there listening to this, thinking what I thought, which is this incredible story and, the grit and resilience that you've shown, what's your best advice to help them develop kids who have grit and resilience like you do, Doug?
Something's gonna happen, and that can be very discouraging, and it's gonna happen throughout life. It's gonna happen daily throughout life. But teaching the kids really is what happens next? Like, if you're a goalie in lacrosse or any sport and the ball goes in, you're not hanging your head, you're looking for the next opportunity. And every time you step out on the field, I think is an opportunity. It's
Yeah.
an opportunity to say, something about who you are, how hard you ran that time, or did you just give up? No, it's an opportunity. Just like pain for me is information. That's information.
What's your next goal? You've done Ironman. Now what are we looking ahead to?
You know, this is part of my goal right now because I'd really love to tell my story,
Yeah.
to the American Heart Association of Orthopedic Surgeons, because you're not supposed to be able to run on metal knees like I have
Yeah.
been. Um, AARP, now that I'm at that age group.
Yep.
I like to tell people that, just because you're getting older and you have issues health-wise, you might have to make some adjustments. Not
Yeah.
I mean, you're gonna go run an Ironman, but to have a goal and it's something that you look forward to every day and keep working towards,
Yeah.
but that's really what I want is to help tell the story. And yeah, there might be another Ironman in my future. We'll see. My future.
I'm betting on you for sure. For sure. And I hope that this story gets shared all over because it truly is inspirational. And for the kids we work with in Fit Kids, many of whom face tough challenges every day, I hope they hear directly from you who've faced a lot of challenges. Never give up. Pick yourself back up, one foot in front of the other, and work towards that goal. Is there anything else you'd like to share with us, Doug?
Small wins. It's all about the small wins. It's about the ground balls. It's about, getting to the next corner, just getting to the next practice or getting out of bed. It's just moving forward.
And for everybody out there considering an Ironman, training for one, thinking about it, what's your best advice?
Do it. It's easier than you think. I mean, it's mental and it's physical, sure.
Yeah,
But, I look at some of these other folks that are out there that I was running with, and there's an incredible bond when you're out there. Everyone has a story.
I love it. Well, this is a good one. This is a great place to share it, and I hope it gets out there.
Thank you.
I really appreciate your time today, Doug. It's been really fun talking to you.
Yeah, it's been great. I enjoyed it.
Good.
The Tahoe, let's go skiing.
I would love that.